himself now for that.
Okay.
Tell me what a pleasant smile you have in your picture.
The meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you. Chair recognizes that it's 3 o'clock. We are here in the Housing Committee on Thursday, August 26, 2020 at 3 p.m. I am Councilmember Gil Cedillo, and I'm joined by Councilmember Paul Krikorian, and we will shortly be joined by our colleague, Mr. Marquise Harris-Dawson. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And note that in conformity with the governor's executive order and due to concerns around COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted telephonically. Are we going to go straight to public comment? Are you prepared for that?
May I call the roll just for the record, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
So currently we have Councilmember Cedillo.
Here, present.
Councilmember Krikorian.
Here.
And Councilmember Harris-Dawson. Absent. So for the record, 2 members and you have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
You want to read the rules for public comment?
Members of the public who would like to offer public comment on the items listed on the agenda should call 1-669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-871-1866, then press the number sign. Press the number sign again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted into the meeting, press *9 to request to speak. And I see Councilmember Harris-Dawson in attendance. Would you like me to call the roll one more time for the public record, Mr. Chair?
Sure, let's do that real quick.
Okay, so we have Cedillo.
Here.
Krikorian.
Here.
And Harris-Dawson.
Present.
Thank you.
Great, we have a full body. We're going to proceed with public comment, 1 minute for individual items, 2 minutes for multiple items, and 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have 9 speakers lined up, so I'm going to go ahead and allow the first speaker, caller with the ending number 031. Please state your name and which items you'd like to comment on.
Hi, my name is Laura Raymond, item 4.
You have 1 minute.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the Housing Committee. I'm Laura Raymond. I'm the director of ACT LA. By now, you've probably heard the dire stat that LA County is short of over 500,000 affordable housing units. The shortage of affordable units has led to 79% of extremely low-income households paying more than half of their income on housing costs. Despite the amazing work of nonprofit developers, many of whom are our coalition partners, they aren't going to be able to fill this gap alone, and nor will the market. Areas of LA, such as Westlake and South LA, are some of the most overcrowded zip codes in the country. During this pandemic, the link between overcrowding and public health concerns, as many of us in the housing movement have been raising for years, have really been laid bare. We need to tackle this problem now, but not with baby steps, with bold solutions that meet the moment. We need a social housing program for the city of LA. So we want to thank Council members Bonin, Harris-Dawson, and Martinez for bringing this motion, item number 4, forward and starting this important conversation. ACT LA fully supports this motion and urges the Housing Committee to pass it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller ending in 1506. Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hello, my name is Diana Coronado, and I'm speaking on item number 4. I'm here on behalf of the building. Thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Building Industry Association, an organization focused on building housing for all. We would like to share comments on this item. We are encouraged to see the city taking proactive steps to create and invest in housing through the social housing motion. BIA-LAB and its members are ardent supporters of all housing types and diverse housing solutions. As this legislation takes shape, we would like to partner with the city as an active stakeholder and provide our organization as a resource. BIA-LAB is particularly interested in the funding source of this measure and understanding how it will meet the goals of this motion. It is imperative that funding solutions work in tandem with all of the other housing efforts and does not negatively impact current or future home building. Current housing development cannot withstand any more cost increases to the home building process or added barriers to produce housing. We would ask that the staff and council avoid solutions that would impose those hurdles. And we urge city staff to take these funding pitfalls into consideration when reporting on viable solutions in bringing this motion to fruition. We hope that the city utilizes tools like streamlined permitting, by right development, and existing funding sources without increasing costs on affordable and market rate housing production. We look forward to working with the council and the city staff on this important and creative housing solution. Thank you.
Who is the speaker, please?
Diana Coronado with the building industry.
Thank you so much, Diana. Great to hear from you.
Thank you, Chair.
Caller ending in 8955. You please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hannah Kamal, I'd like to speak on general public comments.
Thank you. You have 1 minute.
Good afternoon, City Council members. I'm an attorney with Aesthetic Legal Services, and we urge City Council to adopt a strong tenant anti-harassment ordinance. Too often in our practice, we see landlords intimidate tenants who, not knowing what their rights are, give up their apartments and run the risk of becoming homeless. We've seen landlords refuse to fix defective plumbing, forcing tenants to choose between unlivable conditions and homelessness. In one case, a landlord, having lost an earlier eviction lawsuit against the tenant, resorted to intimidation to get this lawsuit-protected tenant to give up her apartment. His tactics included banging on her windows, verbally abusing her and her partner, and even staying the night without her consent. Even a restraining order against the landlord hasn't helped. In another case, the landlord illegally shut off the tenant's utilities and changed the locks, broke her air conditioner, removed the tenant's bed and her belongings, moved in another person, and constantly threatened the tenant and her daughter's lives. This has forced the tenant to sleep in her car while she figures out what to do next. Tenants do not get the benefit of the court process when these illegal evictions take place. City Council should pass the tenant anti-harassment ordinance and make clear to landlords that they cannot use harassment and intimidation as a way around the legal eviction process. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker ending caller with 99917. Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
I'd like to speak on item number 4 and general public comment.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. With regard to item 4, I definitely support Los Angeles City Council exploring social housing. I would like to note that, as one previous caller stated, there's more than 500,000 units that the city and county are lacking in terms of affordable housing to meet demand. There are 70,000 people and more on the streets, while 15,000 rooms are promised for Project Dream Key, and 9,000 at least have not been delivered. And there are 300,000 households at minimum at risk of eviction once evictions resume. And a UCLA study has noted that if the city does not work on housing, that the best option will soon become refugee camps because of your inaction. So I the council to support this motion, but not rely on report backs, but rather to actually do something immediately, the real concrete steps, real concrete actions that the city can take immediately to address housing. And so moving on to general public comment, I think it's incumbent on the city right now to focus on canceling rent, because that UCLA study also showed that canceling rent by offering landlords tax credits or other incentives would be the best option to keep everybody housed during this crisis. And since you guys are the housing committee, I think maybe that should be your focus right now, how to keep people housed in a pandemic. I know that since it's fucking Cedillo, Krikorian, and Harris Dawson, that's pretty much dead on arrival because you dumb motherfuckers aren't going to do anything for us, are you? Why are you guys on the housing committee? Why is it fucking Gil Cedillo? I mean, all of you guys are useless, but Harris Dawson, Cedillo, and Krikorian? What the fuck? You guys are fucking...
Caller with the numbers ending in 0700, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
The mothership, all right, up to general.
Caller ending in 3645. Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, this is Joe Donlin. I'd like to speak on public comment, general public comment, and item number 4.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Again, my name is Joe Donlin with Strategic Actions for a Just Economy. For my general public comment, I'd like to raise, as many commenters did last week, the urgent need for the passage of the Tenant Anti-Harassment Ordinance. As you know, since 2017, the ordinance has been in the queue. And during those 3 years we have waited, it's safe to say that likely thousands, if not tens of thousands of tenants have been harassed, traumatized, and made houseless because of harassment by some landlords, property managers, relocation specialists, and other agents of property owners. Harassment has become the go-to method to displace tenants, especially during this pandemic, since the courts were closed and using the formal eviction process as a tool against tenants has been unavailable. I hate to say it, but landlords are getting better at harassment, and so we will continue to see untold thousands of people displaced that actually are never recorded as an eviction, because as was stated, these are informal, off-the-record forms of displacement. All this to say, we ask that you please waive the Tenant Anti-Harassment Ordinance out of this committee and help commit to getting the votes for its passage at full council as soon as possible. On item number 4, we are grateful for the leadership of Council Members Bonin and Harris Dawson and that of Council President Martinez, as demonstrated by this motion to advance social housing in the city of LA. We all know the crisis proportions we've experienced in terms of housing long before COVID, and how now, due to COVID, the need has only been multiplied. And this unprecedented need requires a full commitment from our public institutions. We have been at SAGE and many others have been a part.
Please.
Sure. I just wanted to end on a final note to say that social housing, it can mean many things, but we want to make sure that, we're talking about deep affordability, community control, and, innovative solutions around this. We appreciate your time for this.
Thank you. The caller ending with 1403, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak.
Wayne Foreman, Senator, the world famous all item. Good afternoon, Mr. Cedillo, and general public comment.
Okay, 1 minute. Thank you.
No. All items and general.
Okay, 3 minutes.
That's right. And a shout out to Mr. Harris Dawson and Paul Krikorian. Fuck you both. Now, we get here to number 5. We have a bunch of niggers to the Commission for Community and Family Services. Noah, number 5. It's a fucking cunt. Number 6, another asshole. We say no to him. These are appointments by the mayor, the most toxic motherfucker in the history of America. We get number 8. These are just reappointing the same garbage for different garbage. Benjamin Torres, he's doing a lousy job. Fuck you. Number 9, Alexandria Zaconta. Fuck you. You are a cunt. You do not give any housing for people of color. Number 10, Robin Burrell, another worthless piece of garbage on 2 feet. I urge Mr. Cedillo to table all of these assholes and put numbers into a phone book, and they do a better job than these mayoral appointments. They ain't nothing but fucking shit, each and every one of them. They sit there and do nothing. They go, oh, call the quorum. I don't even know what a quorum is, but I know what ineffective is, and I agree with the caller two before me. What the fuck are we doing here? Now we get to number 4, Bonnet. You want to know how to get housing. Well, it's very simple. Get all those people underneath those tents on Venice Boulevard underneath the 405 freeway, and you get plenty of people get housing. Mike Bonin is a piece of shit. He ain't no good. I vote no on number 4. Then we get to the other items which make no sense to my mentality. We have report. The only report on foreclosure is Herb Wesson's going to be foreclosed on when he stops paying his mortgage. When Holly Mitchell becomes the new supervisor, that lovely lady for District 2. Yes, sir. And now I can get to my general if I'm allowed at this moment. I would appreciate the general. I get my 1 minute. Or are you niggas just going to keep running my time, treating me like an Uncle Tom? Okay. I know that Paul Kerkorian has a fat fucking wife and a retard son, and that means he's a landlord, aren't you? Get off this commission, no landlord. Then we get the other committee member. He's the chair of Plum, and he just fundamentally off his face. Fuck you all.
Speaker with the number ending in 7006. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on. Caller with the number 478. Please state your name and what item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Fanny Ortiz, and I am the co-president for Fideicomiso Comunitario Tierra Libre, the first community land trust in the east side. And I'm here to speak in support of item 4 and give a general public comment. And I want to start by saying thank you. I want to start by saying thank you to the council members Bonin, Harris, Dawson, and Martinez for starting this important conversation. If ever there was a time for piloting bold solution, it is now. The memo for Health LA states the city of LA is in a housing crisis, one that affects every one of us. We know that we're short over 500,000 affordable units, and this has led to 79% of extremely low-income households to be paying more than half of their income for housing costs. We're also living in a crisis of ethnic proportion where most of my neighbors are living in overcrowded conditions. And this was already happening before COVID-19, but as of now, it's affecting their health, and they're getting sick. People are dying left and right. And I just want to say that I want to echo the need for deep affordability and community control of community land by workers, by working with the city, by working with the community land trust to decommodify housing. We can make sure that we are investing in social housing, which is also an investment in public health and safety. This is something that the nonprofit sector can meet with a normal low-income housing need in the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peggy Lee Kennedy with the Venice Justice Committee. I'd like to speak on general public comment and item number 4.
Okay, 2 minutes.
I'm very concerned about our population right now that is mentally ill on the streets. I want this body to look at the numbers that have come out. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. But I want you to look at the numbers that have come out in the homeless counts. A huge percentage of the people living outside unsheltered also have mental health issues. What's happening is that our for-profit board and care system, which is the main community housing for people with mental illness, has been failing. It's failing, and people are going on the street from that system. We have to do something to prop it up. If you have to look at Prop 63 funds, the county, federal funding, whatever it is, to create nonprofit social housing that is modeled with board and care in mind, that is the one way to try and save these people that are living on the street, because they are going to die. A lot of them die and start self-medicating. I think that's critical. The fact that no one's looking at that and no one's actually addressing that specifically is a crime. And I want you to start thinking about that. These people are dying. And, you know, it's no fault of their own that they have major mental illness. It happens. People are mentally ill. Now, item number 4. You know, the big thing is affordability. And you could say affordable all you want, but people who are on extremely low incomes need to be able to afford housing. Otherwise, how are we going to house the people? If you just say affordable, it doesn't work. It has to be housing for extremely low income people, and or people without incomes, and assistance to get them income, some kind of income, help them get Social Security or whatever they need to do, jobs.
Thank you, Speaker. Your time is up, Speaker. We appreciate it. Thank you. Would the caller... Caller ending in 7006. Caller ending in 1617, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
My name is Claudia Brick. I'm with End Homelessness LA. I'd like to speak a general comment and item 4.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay, first of all, my hearty congratulations to the City Council for finally acknowledging that public-private development model is not going to come close to providing enough housing in any reasonable time frame to get the homeless off the streets and keep the rent challenged in their homes. We at End Homelessness Now LA have been shouting, coaxing, pleading for you to go to public and social housing models that can be built by the... Am I unmuted?
No, go ahead.
I'm unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Claudia Brick. I'm with End Homelessness Now LA. Okay. So do I have to start over? Where are we?
No, please continue. Please continue.
Okay. I'm pleased to see that y'all are going to go to public and social housing models that can be built by the city through expedited permit and planning processes, and with whatever funding sources can be arranged to keep that housing in public lands and off the commodified private housing market. Councilman Bonin, you are right. This is the only way that our society can even begin to play catch-up with the need for housing. We completely agree with Mr. Bonin's analysis of the social housing model as a means to integrate housing economically, which will lead to integrated housing racially and culturally. Don't waste a lot of time studying the matter. Most of that has already been done internationally in Germany and Austria. Get going, Los Angeles. Get the bureaucratic roadblocks out of the way and build it, own it, and run it now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is...
Your name and what item you'd like to speak on?
Hi, my name is Rashi Manji, and I'm from Illinois Western. I would like to speak on general comment and item 4.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you. I am here speaking on behalf of the LA and Inner City Law Center. We are a homeless legal service provider based in Skid Row. In terms of the item number 4, I really want to thank Council Members Ronan, Harris-Dawson, and Martinez for bringing this up. This is a fundamental and important issue. You've already heard this many times before, but it's important to say again, we're having a shortage of 500,000 affordable housing units around the county. We obviously have around 68,000 people who are homeless now, and there is a direct correlation between this increased homelessness and the lack of affordability for many folks. We are happy that the council is bringing this up now. We hope this would have been brought up many years ago, but late is better than never. There are many successful models of social housing throughout the world that we can emulate. There are many construction methods that we can emulate. Obviously, right now, our average cost of building a new affordable unit is around $500,000. We can reduce that. We have modular housing units that are being built in Crenshaw for around $350,000 per unit. We have mass timber units that are being built in Canada. So stories that are above 4 or something up to 12 stories without using reinforced concrete, these really limit costs and bring costs down. We really do believe we can bring these units into on the market with under the current 500,000 normal pricing. The other area where we really want to focus is using the social housing model to do something that desegregates the city of Los Angeles. We are a very diverse city here in Los Angeles, but we're also a very segregated city, both in terms of income, in terms of race, in terms of class. We feel the social housing movement, the social housing is an opportunity to desegregate Los Angeles and to open up opportunities for lower-income folks, for middle-income folks in historically exclusionary neighborhoods such as the West Side and the West Center Valley. We want your comments. Sorry?
Yes, your time is approaching.
Okay. So we do like the city to explore building housing there. Last and also very important point, we'd like the city to look at democratic mechanisms to control these properties. We know that residents are most empowered and most invested in their communities when they have control over their housing. And so we want the city to explore community land trust and other such mechanisms to bring power to communities, bring power to residents. I really want to applaud the council members for bringing this up.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We're going to move on to the next speaker. With the speaker ending in 0970, please state your name and which items you'd like to speak on.
Hi. This is Mr. Nelson. I'm calling in support of item 4.
Item 4? Okay, 1 minute, please.
All right. I'm calling to thank Councilmember Bonin, Harris-Dawson, and Martinez for starting this conversation. As we know, our city is facing a myriad of crises, and it is about time that we decide to address that. And we already have about 80,000 people that are unhoused, and with the upcoming evictions, after the eviction courts open back up, we're going to see that number back up. And we know that neither the market or the nonprofit sector can meet this enormous need for housing in the city. So it is time now to invest in social housing and invest in our public health and safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, ending in 1403, please state your name and which item you would like to speak on.
No, I'm just listening. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Caller with the number ending in 3478, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
I already spoke. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller ending in 1403, please state your name and what you'd like to speak on.
I just listening.
Thank you. Caller ending in 0274, please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Sophia Wesso, and I'm calling to add my support to item number 4.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, 1 minute.
I have lived in Los Angeles my whole life, and as such, I have seen homelessness and I have seen displacement my whole life, and I just feel that right now, more than ever, we need to have our support. We need to have City Council show support to be able to have something like social housing. We are in a pandemic. This is a public health issue. We no longer have just a social issue. And I think more than ever, I urge the City Council to please consider how important this is and take into account how many lives we can save. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Mr. Chair, can we please take a short recess to reestablish the connection with the public comment?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Do this.
Okay, speaker 0381, have you spoken already?
I have you.
Thank you.
Next.
Speaker 3478, have you spoken already?
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Speaker 1403, have you spoken? Speaker with a call ending in 1403. Hello? Okay, no response. We have one. Speaker 707, state your name if you'd like to speak. Okay, those are the balance of speakers, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, let's move forward then. Thank the public for public comment. Let's move into the agenda. Madam Clerk, you want to call item 1?
Item one is a city administrative officer in Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department reports relative to authority to make technical amendments to the Foreclosure Registry Program Ordinance and the housing regulations of the Los Angeles Municipal Code, Article 4, Chapter 16.
Good afternoon. This is Goya Bobazade from HC. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
The purpose of the transmittal before you is twofold. One is to provide you with a report back on the foreclosure registry program after 10 years of its inception, and also to propose ordinance amendment to make the program more effective and efficient. The foreclosure registry ordinance was adopted in July of 2010 in response to the foreclosure crisis that started in 2008. And subsequently, it was amended in December 2014 to add the proactive inspection component and also refine the non-compliance penalties for this ordinance. The main primary purpose of the program was to prevent blight in the residential communities as a result of foreclosure crisis due to lack of maintenance in foreclosure, properties in foreclosure. And through this program, an online registration mechanism is created requiring lenders, beneficiaries, trustees, or their agent to register the properties that are in foreclosure within 30 days from the date that they file notice of default on the title of the property. Provide the contact information. So if we have any concern about any of these properties, we would know who to contact to resolve the issues. To maintain the property, inspect it on a monthly basis and report to the department on the condition of the properties. And pay $155 administration fee of the program on an annual basis for each year that the property is in foreclosure. So this program, since inception, has resulted in approximately 80,000 properties to be registered with HC, over 145,000 inspection of the properties in foreclosure has been conducted until end of 2019, and over $27 million have been collected as a regular fee, delinquent fees, and also inspection fees. To highlight some of the achievements of this program, I want to start with the inspection component of the program, which is very comprehensive. There are three components for inspection in foreclosure registry. One is the lender is required to inspect the properties on a monthly basis. And then the Department of Building and Safety and HC inspect these properties based on their jurisdiction. Single-family dwelling and vacant properties are inspected by Building and Safety. Multifamily occupied properties are inspected by HC. And as I mentioned, over 144,000 inspections have been conducted. The inspection for Department HC was over 3,200 inspections in year 2019, which is sevenfold more than 2015, and also resulted in 96% compliance. So the number of properties that are not in compliance is very, very limited, and that serves the purpose of the program. One of the highlights of this program is development of the georegistry, which in 2019 we enhanced it and relaunched it. This geo-mapping of the properties in foreclosure links several databases together, including a link to 311, and also put several different entities and departments that they need to work together to address issues in foreclosed property at the same time, such as Building and Safety, HC, DWP, City Attorney, Council offices, sanitation. All of these departments and more have access to the data about foreclosed properties. They can refer property to each other and they can share information. This database has been very successful in bringing properties into compliance expeditedly, and also as a result of this system, we were able to develop a customized report for council offices that was launched this year to provide them with the information about foreclosed properties in their districts and in comparison with the citywide foreclosure and issues with those properties and any other information that they may need. I'm proud to say that we get very positive input from council offices about these reports that they receive quarterly. And another important factor of this program is that there is a lot of accuracy and timeliness of the information is very important for the databases to be accurate and also for our customer service. Previously, most of the work of reviewing all the documentation for properties in foreclosure was done manually, which was very time consuming. As a result, change of the status of the foreclosure was delayed due to this manual review. We obtained extensive information and documentation from a reliable private data provider and automated our review, most of these review process that resulted in 2018 over 26,000 deregistration of the properties that previously was waiting for review to identify the status of them. This automation made our process and information very accurate. Collection of the fees was important. Originally, the notices were sent to the addresses that we were not getting responses. So we spent a lot of time in finding the right person in every one of these lending agencies. And now we have a very good directory, and we find the right person right away, communicating information with them. And that has increased our ability to attain compliance and collect our fees. Another venue of collecting our fees is very close relationship we have with the department, city attorney's department, that we get into settlement agreement with those that they completely resist to pay us 100%, which is not very many of them. Vast majority of the fees are paid 100%. We follow the trend of the foreclosure. We know it's very important. Real estate is cyclical, and there is a chance for another peak. Besides that, the foreclosure can be caused by natural disaster, fire, by flood. So on a monthly basis, we review the trend of foreclosures in our city. We noticed that although prior to 2019, all the trends were downward, reducing the number of NODs filed. In January, we saw a peak in number of NODs filed in our city, which later on, we relate that to the COVID-19. However, due to the moratoriums and other agreements and orders, a statewide order, we saw a decrease in number of NODs in March and April. In April, we saw 72% decrease in number of NODs filed. But this doesn't mean that we should not expect a peak based on very high unemployment. And once all these moratoriums end, we expect that we are going to deal with a peak for foreclosure. But all the improvements that we have done, we feel that we are comfortable and ready for that, to handle the issues on day one. So the second purpose of this transmittal is to propose ordinance amendment. One major ordinance amendment that we want to do, and we work with Councilmember Kerkorian's office very closely on that, and City Attorney's office, is to retroactively exempt individual lenders. In another word, what we call natural person, which they lend money, but their lending is incidental, and they are not in the lending industry in a professional level, and they don't have the sophistication and resources to follow the foreclosure, and they end up having very hefty delinquent fees, and that is causing them hardship. We believe that the intention of the ordinance was not to catch individual persons for this, rather was working with mid-sized, large-sized lenders that have very many properties in foreclosure. And for that reason, we want to exempt individual lenders to ensure that these properties are maintained. We do have mechanism in place through inspection, SCIP inspection, and also complaint-based inspection by DBS. We also are recommending other improvements to the ordinance. We do have extensive review of the fees if they are disputed. But this process is not codified in the ordinance. We want to have that in the ordinance to make it legally stronger. There are other properties that loans are owned or backed by government agencies, that they have their own property preservation programs that, based on city attorney's opinion, and they are exempt from foreclosure registry ordinance. We want to codify that in this ordinance. And also a few other exemptions that, for example, if the property owner is bankrupt or the property is in disaster area, there is a stay on foreclosure enforcement, which we want to include that in the ordinance. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Good afternoon. This is Emily Zan Cervantes with the Office of the City Administrative Officer, and I just wanted to note that our office concurs with H's recommendations, and there is no impact to the general fund as a result of this, of approving this. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Colleagues, are there any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank HCID for its work on improving this ordinance. Foreclosure registry began in our last wave of foreclosures, as you'll recall, in the Great Recession. And it's important that we have a close look at it to refine it and make sure that we're positioned for what will likely be an increase in the number of foreclosures in coming years, considering the state of our economy. So I appreciate the work that HCID did working with my office on this, and I move approval.
No comments, Mr. Chair.
No objections. Move to adopt the recommendations of the CO report. Madam Clerk, you want to do a quick roll call?
Yes. Mr. Cedillo?
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian?
Aye.
Harris Dawson?
Yes.
3 ayes. This item is approved to adopt the recommendations in the CAO report.
Would you like to call item number 2?
Item number 2 is a city attorney report relative to a proposed legal services agreement for council to develop a housing finance agency for the Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department.
And you want to call item number 3 with that as well?
Item number 3 is a Los Angeles Housing and Community Investment Department report relative to approval to execute a contract for council services.
We're hearing from others.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I'm Amy Pham from the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, and I'm here on item 2. Our office submitted that report R20-20226 before you on August 4th, 2020, in which we recommended that the council authorize the city attorney to enter into a new 3-year contract with an outside counsel firm, Kutak Rock, for legal services related to the formation of a new housing financing agency. In our recommendation in that report that's before you, we mistakenly asked for the contract to be retroactive to February 1, 2019. However, it's come to our attention that the retroactive date for that contract should be October 1, 2018. And in addition, we need to add authority to fund the contract for an amount not to exceed $200,000. Therefore, we're here requesting that our original report be amended so that the first paragraph of our recommendation is revised to read in its entirety as follows. This office respectfully requests that the City Council authorize the City Attorney to enter into a new 3-year contract with Kutak Rock LLP for the Housing Finance Agency, HFA, Legal Services, retroactive to October 1, 2018, for an amount not to exceed $200,000 to be funded by the Municipal Housing Finance Fund number 815. And I can answer any questions you might have on that.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering why it is that we're approving this almost 2 years after services were begun by this law firm.
This is Sean Spear from the Housing Department. I can answer Councilman Krikorian's question. In essence, this was begun initially to look at the possible feasibility of creating a housing finance agency for the city of Los Angeles. At the time, we entered into a contract via an RFP with Forsyth Street Advisors to look at the potential for how to structure such an organization and what its benefits would be potentially to the city. What quickly arose was questions related to governance, and in essence, the possible structures that we would look at would be based upon what type of governance there would be for such an entity. So at that time, we have an existing contract to provide bond counsel activities and authority for our individual projects on the housing side, but not a general contract such as what this ended up being. So the questions became more in line with kind of this overall structure and less on individual projects. And so we asked to effectively go back and create a contract that really reflected the work that Kutak Rock had provided, which initially started off as just questions around bond issuance in general.
Okay, so this firm had a pre-existing relationship with the city, was already providing services. Essentially, you're going back and dividing up the timesheets for which services were done in this category and which services were done in this category.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
That satisfies. Thank you.
Mr. Krikorian, I'm going to follow your lead because I share the same questions of how we're paying for something for activities that were taking place 2 years ago that aren't the activities that we had envisioned. Essentially, we didn't get the product that we asked for, we got something else. We're simply buying something else we didn't want to buy, didn't even think about buying. So you want to help me with that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, so the reality of it is that they did provide what we asked of them, but it was the realization that this became slightly different than what was in their standard scope of services under the contract that we already had. So we did think it was appropriate to, once we started to see that we were asking them more questions related to governance, but we should, in fact, create a separate contract for that work.
Let's say you're writing an email and you do...
What's your recommendation, Sean?
Oh, sorry. The department recommends approval, please, with the changes as requested by the city attorney's office.
And I would so move, Mr. Chairman.
Given that Mr. Spear will be leaving us this week,
I get to feel like I'm sitting there with you for a moment. So thank you, sir. Thank you for.
We will miss you. Let's take this opportunity to say thank you for your service. I will say that, at least from my office, it was always a pleasure to see you in the building, and not just in the building, but in our office, and to work with you and help us and help me figure out all the projects and departments and the elements and all the things that we did. Thank you for your service. Mr. Harris-Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Spear, and in solidarity with you and wishing you good luck, I'm going to second your recommendation.
Okay. Thank you, sir. But I need to tell you, you need to invite me over to leaf through those crates.
Yes. Yeah. No, you got to get over before you head out. So
all right.
I look forward to
Sounds
it.
good. Well, thank you all, both Mr. Chair as well as fellow councilmen there. I really appreciate your leadership. You've made very tough calls along the way in support of trying to do our best to meet our housing crisis and figure out new ways to make housing come online faster. And so truly, it's been a pleasure for me working with both each of you as well as your staffs as well. And I will just be a little bit further down the pike, but not totally away. The organization that I'm going to be heading up does have properties here in this area. So I think going forward in the long run, we hope to play a role in assisting in developing housing here in Los Angeles too someday.
Well, once we get past this period, we'll be prompt to go and harass your property so that we can get you up here and have you intervene on behalf of your new organization.
Be happy to. Yeah.
Be safe. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Next item, or is it a motion? The motion You want to do a roll call on the motion?
Yes. Is the motion to approve the city attorney report as amended, as read into the record? Mr. Chair?
Chair, aye.
Okay, so we're going to call the roll for item number 2. Cedillo?
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian?
Aye.
Harris Dawson?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is approved as amended.
That's, on 3, we're going to receive and file.
Okay, we will call the roll for item number 3. Cedillo?
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian? Councilmember Krikorian to receive and file item number 3.
Sorry, slow to the unmute button. Aye.
And Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
3 ayes. That item is also approved.
You want to read item number 4? I understand that Mr. Bonin is trying to reconnect with us.
Item number 4 is a motion by Bonin, Martinez, and Harris Dawson relative to the consideration of pathways to establishing social housing to accommodate the urgent need for affordable housing.
Reconnect Mr. Bonin with us, please. Mr. Harris Dawson, you may have to come up to bat for Mr. Bonin if we can't get him connected to us.
Happy to do so. This is an idea that Mr. Bonnet has been championing for a long, long time. It's one of those things that seems rather obvious, but it's been very, very hard to get the city to do it. There are some cases in which shared housing makes a lot of sense. You have dormitory-style housing with some shared facilities that folks own houses and are ready to do that now. There are builders actually building housing in that way right now. And our motel conversions become easier if we use this model as well. And so this motion that Mr. Bonin put forth with the council president and I seeks to just move the ball forward on that. And again, ideally it would have been a bigger part of the HHH program, but here we are, and it moves forward.
Thank you very much. Also, let me add that with our efforts to exercise eminent domain, this may also assist us in being able to execute that. So thank you for that. Mr. Bonin, I'm sorry we had the technical difficulties. Mr. Krikorian, you want to chime in, or are we ready to move this matter?
I'm ready to roll, Mr. Chairman. I'll be happy to move the item.
Seconded. Can we get a roll call?
For item number 4, Councilmember Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
3 yeses. This item is approved.
Tell us about items 5 to 10.
Items 5 through 10 are mayor's reports relative to reappointments of commissioners to both the Commission of Community and Family Services and the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. We do have commissioners present on the line for presentations and questions at this time. Would you like me to read each item individually, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
For item number 1, it's a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Ms. Jessie Noonan to the Commission for Community and Family Services. This item has a time limit for September 28th, and the last day for council action is September 25th, 2020.
Okay, I'm prepared to move the matter.
Second.
Okay, you want to call roll?
item number 5, Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Item number 5 is approved. Item number 6 is a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Mr. Delfino de la Cruz to the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles.
Motion.
Second.
Second it.
Okay, calling the roll to approve item number 6, Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Item number 7 is a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Ms. Lucilia Hooper to the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles.
So moved.
Second.
Calling the roll for item number 7, Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
And Harris Dawson.
Yes.
For item number 8, we have the speaker present. It's a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Mr. Benjamin Torres to the Commission for Community and Family Services. This is a time limit item with the last day for council action of September 23rd, 2020.
Thank the commissioner for his presence and move the motion.
Second.
Calling the roll to approve item number 8, Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Item number 8 is approved. Item number 9 is a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Ms. Alexandra Zandueta to the Commission for Community and Family Services. This was a time limit item of September 28th, and the last day for council action was September 25th, 2020. I would like to add that Ms. Alexandra Zandueta has submitted her withdrawal for consideration from this appointment and is currently on file on our council file management systems at the city clerk's website.
Noted. Do we need a roll call for that, or can we move to item number 10?
We need a roll call to receive and file the withdrawal.
So moved.
Second.
So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Okay. Calling the roll to receive and file the commissioner for consideration for item number 9. Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Thank you. The final item is item number 10. We have a speaker in attendance. This is a mayor's report relative to the reappointment of Ms. Robin Burrell to the Commission for Community and Family Services. This is a time limit item of September 28th with the last day of council action for September 25th, 2020.
I thank Ms. Burrell for her presence and move the motion.
Second.
Okay, calling the roll to approve item number 10. Cedillo.
Cedillo, aye.
Krikorian.
Aye.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
That
Madam Clerk,
concludes.
let me thank all those who came today and volunteered their time and thank them for participating and helping us govern the city through this really difficult and challenging time. I know that all commissioners invest their own time and it takes away from their family time, and that during this COVID era, this pandemic, it's more difficult for all of us. And so I want to thank each commissioner for their time and thank the mayor for his thoughtful appointments. Does that clear the desk, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. So be the order. Everybody, thank you this afternoon for joining us. This is really, Robin, great to see you. It's really challenging for all of us to do what we're doing, trying to manage one of the most important cities in the world during a time of of COVID and this pandemic. So thank each and every one of you for spending your afternoon with us.
Thank you.
You didn't adjourn? Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.